All right, guys, so I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99.9% sure that I touched on this already multiple times, but just going to do a real quick rehash for new subscribers and also for my benefit so I can share this with another video. A lot of times when people ask me about cranks, bearings, and all that shit, I share them the crank inspection video. But you know, there's a lot of, I guess, kind of misunderstanding for Plastigage and what exactly it does. Plastigage is like a double tap. Plastigage is like when you're not 100% sure what you're measuring, and Plastigage will give you like the range of what your clearance is. Plastigage measures the clearance between your bearing and the crankshaft. See, the thing is, if you have a micrometer, and you should be using a micrometer to check your crank anyway, because even if it's clean and smooth, you still need to make sure what size it is, because that clean and smooth crank could be a cut crank and you just don't know until you check. You take your micrometer, you check the bearing journals, I mean not the bearing journals, sorry, you check the journals on the crank, and once you get your measurements, you use that, go to the fucking bearing chart that I shared in that video, and you pick your bearings like that. Now there's only one time that you really need to change your size of bearings. You're getting either standard bearings because your journals measure out to the proper size, or you're getting oversized bearings because the journal has been cut and is now undersized, and you need to get a bigger bearing to fill in that gap. Pretty sure I explained this, but again, doing this over. If you have a micrometer and you're checking your clearances, you don't really need Plastigage. You go out there, you buy a reputable brand fucking bearing, and you get a standard size bearing, and you use that. Now, I just had a talk with somebody the other day who also builds a lot of engines, and their go-to bearings are fucking ACL standards, because ACL standards are already preset out the box. For these people that are always trying to, it's like, oh, OEM bearings and all this shit. If you try to follow that color code, you're going to buy, you need to buy one bearing this size, one bearing that size, one bearing this size, and then, if you go and you get, the color for what the crank says, then the chances are they might not clinch properly, and you're going to have to get a bigger one or a smaller one. You don't need to follow that OEM bearing standard, guys. You can go out there and buy ACL bearing to standard, or a King Racing bearing to standard, and that's fine. I've even bought generic brands that are standard size bearings once you measure the crank, and they come out fine with no problems. All right, now whatever bearings you want to use is for whatever your build preferences or whatever, that's fine. I've already talked about that before too. But Plastigage is not something you 100% have to use. It's just, I'm buying an off-brand bearing, I'm not sure how they're gonna sit right, so even though I bought standard bearings, let me just double check the clearances and make sure they're fine. That's when you use the Plastigage. Any other time, guys, if you're measuring properly, you don't need to use Plastigage at all. I haven't used Plastigage in years. And the only time I would use Plastigage now is if I'm a little uncertain about something, like, can I run this? Maybe, I don't know. Let's just be Plastigage to be sure. But that's only a double check. You don't really have to use it. Haven't used it in years, and I don't even know when the next time it will be. All right, guys, that's it, and peace.